Ghana for Memamwachi. I salute all of you. Thank you for joining me for the last Blunt Thoughts episode of the year 2024. My name is Benjamin Akakpo, and it's a pleasure to serve you. Now, I've titled today's Blunt Thoughts, and I'll repeat the title for you: Political Misdiagnosis, Financial Paralysis, and Intellectual Necrosis, the circus we've turned governance into. Political misdiagnosis, financial paralysis, and intellectual necrosis, the circus we've turned governance into. You know about necrosis, what it means. But before I get to my slides here today, before I talk about the necrosis, the decay, and everything in between, let me address the Vice President. Dr. Vice President, you did so well with your concessionary speech. That was top class. It was both timely and apt in delivery. You have left me scratching my head, however, after I heard you speaking to your campaign's communicators just the other day and lambasting everyone else but yourselves for your loss. You claim something was amiss on December the 7th because your people didn't turn up to vote. Well, first point, nobody belongs to any party really anymore. Not the NDC, not the MPP. If you do the wrong things, we'll show you the way out, period. Keep that in mind. Now, Dr. Vice President, my second worry is whether you and your team have really sat down to contemplate why you not just lost, but lost in such an ignominious, humiliating, and crushing manner. Look, I've had a number of your party communicators come here and speak, and I'm beginning to wonder. I hear you blaming anyone and everyone but yourselves. Your diagnosis is very wrong. And so, just as in a medical setting, whatever medicine or curative remedies you proffer will not work because you have misdiagnosed the real problems. I heard you congratulating your communications team. All well and good. But let's face it, a lot of them in there were a great part of why you lost, sir. Their swagger, their arrogance, their peddling of falsehoods, and attempting to force it down the throats of Ghanaians who proved clearly not to be as gullible as they imagined. If you don't see that, then there's a huge problem ahead of you. Now, you also claimed your communications team were fighting some sort of losing battle because the media, we, were supposedly in the camp of the main opposition, NDC. Let me ask you a few things, respectfully. Do you realize how many media entities from TV to radio and even newspapers spew NPP rhetoric and sometimes pure propaganda on a daily basis? Do you know? Have you contemplated, and I was a part of this, the sort of scourging and aggressive criticism the media brought to bear against the NDC in 2016? I was a part of it, and the outright impact that had on the current president and you securing a winning ticket that year. Were we NPP then for doing that? No. The same way we are not NDC now for pointing out this administration's ills. If you do not see that, and if you're rather blaming your purported supporters for not showing up when it counted the most, and also pointing an accusing finger at the media, then we thank you. Sincerely. Obviously then, it would imply your team has many more lessons to learn. That's free advice, and yes, you're welcome. Now that that's off my chest, let me move on to my substantive issues this morning. And that takes me to my slides. That's why I was talking about financial paralysis, among others. So let's look at Ghana's economy. On the back of what has been said from the finance minister, from the president, that Ghana's economy is on a very sound footing, what they are passing on to the incoming administration. Dr. Richmond Etiahene, a banking consultant, has said, where we are, we're in serious trouble. The president-elect has a lot to do, even to stabilize the economy. If anybody can come and tell me that with these variables and indicators, the economy is strong, then I don't know which variables are being used. How can you describe a bankrupt economy as strong? And you see, you think about WAEC and other entities being owed, and it paints a certain picture, but I'll get there. Then you have the IMF on Ghana's recovery. You see, it's not rocket science. You can read between the lines. It says the gains achieved so far under the program, the current program, are fragile and there is little room for complacency. Key word here. No room for complacency. If we dare joke, if the incoming administration dares to joke and thinks that, oh, things are as rosy as the picture is being painted now, they will be caught in flagrante delicto, as we say in law, with their hands in the cookie jar, pants down. No room for complacency. Next slide. And here's part of why. Is Ghana's economy truly strong? If you look at the average lending rate, for example, December 2016, it stood at 31.7%. And we were averse to this, which is why we voted that administration out then. The 2024 latest Bank of Ghana update shows that it's at 30.8%. But if you look at other dynamics, inflation, and other surrounding matters, if you go to the bank now for a loan, it tells you, are we really on strong footing? Next slide. You look at Ghana's import cover. In December 2016, it stood at 2.8 months. Now, it stands at 2.3 months. Imagine that. Strong? I don't know. You see, we were lamenting the same things in 2016. It appears after 8 years, we're almost at the same place. Next slide. Look at the trajectory in terms of the import bill versus international reserves, where the black line talks about the import bill and the yellow line or curry line talks about the reserves. If you look at the import bill from 12.7 to 13.4 in billions of dollars, look at the trajectory. 12.6, if you look at 2016, 12.7 billion. 2024, 12.6 billion. Practically the same thing. But if you look then at the reserves, 6.1 billion, 2019, 8.4, a high of 9.6 billion, and then we started falling, and now we're at 7.7 billion. The dynamic will show you clearly that not much progress has been made between then and now. And if you add inflation and other things, people are worse off. So what strong economy really are we talking about? Next slide. Then you look at the debt to GDP ratio. December 2016, 73.3%. As of now, the latest Bank of Ghana update, 75.7% debt to GDP. Next slide. And then if you look at the energy sector, for example, when I talk about government owing certain entities and the impact on all of us, the cumulative shortfall in billions of dollars in the energy sector, 2022, 1.2 billion, 2023, and I'm talking billions of dollars, 1.9 billion, 2024, 3.2 billion. Look at the gargantuan leap since then. 4.9 billion, 6.6 billion, 8.2 billion. That is the projection that we could get to, looking at the current, trajectory. So, is Ghana's economy bankrupt? Miriam Montra, the Canadian High Commissioner, had this to say recently. I do think that one of the things that will be helpful is ensuring that companies are being paid on time, because that is also another factor that has been a huge deterrent, having to fight to get the money that has been owed. Why is she saying that? Because an entity from her country is owed money, and we are not paying them up. Next slide. And linked to that, then you go to WAEC and its outstanding debt. This entire saga, how much is involved? 118 million Ghana cedis. The amount paid so far, 25 million Ghana cedis. How much does that leave you with? 80 plus billion, almost 90 million Ghana cedis, thereabouts. And this is why WAEC, John Kapi, head of public relations at WAEC, is also saying, obviously, that is the 25 million Ghana cedis, was just a drop in the ocean as far as the amount of money required for the job we are supposed to do is concerned. Now, this here is creating a huge problem, like I said in the news review. Vice Chancellors Ghana are saying, you're putting us in a very bad place. The academic calendar for tertiary level is going to be impacted. Parents are going to be impacted. Students are going to be impacted. There are going to be spillovers. who pays for the mess? Comes back to us. So, that is the tale of the tape with this final bit on WAEC. Now, some reactions. The ranking member on the Education Committee in Parliament, Peter Nochukotwe, has said, my appeal to the Ministry of Education is that they should, as a matter of urgency, release the necessary funds to WAEC. The Education Minister has not prioritized why, in any form, they receive money, either monthly and orderly. So, if you look at the trajectory and talking money, talking financial prudence, talking calculating rightly on the political spectrum, it appears we've got many things wrong here. It's time for us to reflect. You see, we don't have to look at it as a purely MPP or NDC or whatever situation. As a people, we have to weigh in on these matters and put our shoulders to the wheel, because all of these problems, it's not for one leader or some leader. They will come and go. We must appropriate the problems to ourselves and seek solutions for them. If not, we'll keep marking time. Ghana 4, this is the final installment of Blunt Thoughts for You served this year. And we can only wish the very best for the incoming administration and for Ghana going into the future. My name is Benjamin Akapo. Thank you for a beautiful year of working together with you. Thank you for watching.